So we're going to move over to the Commanders now. Like with most teams in the NFCs, well, every team, we're looking for some type of coaching fill. Now, we're the first team in the division to fill coaching position. We hired QB assistant coach or interim QB coach, David Blau. Now, just to give you guys...
That was quick.
That was quick. Now, let me explain what's going on here with this guy, because at first I'm like, why would we go from him to him? Let me break this down. So David Blau had a pretty decent college career playing, I believe, at Purdue. And basically, since then, he was a NFL journeyman playing from 2019 to 2023. Played for litany of great offensive minds. You know, we got Ben Johnson, Cliff Kingsbury, Kevin O'Connell, all these names here that he played for. And he's been, regarded as a high intelligence guy, high integrity guy, wherever he's gone as a player and as a coach, obviously, this year. Cliff Kingsbury had this to say. He said he knew that he had to get every ounce out of every rep. You feel that in his coaching, he's not going to let him off the hook. If it's a lazy rep, hey, do it again. We need to do better at that. That's a quote, I guess, of him quoting Blau. And I think it's really good for that room just to watch him work with those guys. Definitely appreciate and respect that kind of honesty that he's been through it on the level. And I read something else somewhere else. It's just like Kingsbury said, one of his, he's very bright, no doubt about that. He's been around some great offensive minds. So his biggest strengths is that he can see it from the lens of a player, and yet he can kind of separate and still be a coach. So he sounds like a player's coach. And I mean, basically, when you're losing all your offensive staff, because remember, we're not just losing Cliff Kingsbury. We also lost earlier back in November, we also lost our QB coach, Trevita Pritchard, who's now a head coach at Stanford, right? In November, actually, my mistake. So you want to have some level of consistency. David Blau is Jaden's guy. And I've heard people saying, now I don't know. We don't know what exactly he's going to say. It has been rumored that his offense is not going to look too much like Cliff's. It's going to look closer to Ben Johnson's, Kevin O'Connell's system. I'm okay with that. That's good. If that's the case, we don't know until we see, right? It also gives us Commanders, an unknown, like what is this offense going to be like, which gives us a competitive advantage early on in next season.
You need some more weapons if you're running the Ben Johnson offense.
And we're going to get to weapons this offseason. I promise you I'm working on my offseason guide. Don't worry. It's coming out probably end of this month, beginning of next month, but it's coming. That being said, look, David Blau, he's only 30 years old. He's only had 2 years of coaching. So this is a risk. Dan Quinn is putting his career on the line here because a source said that he's not going to get a third shot if this does not work out in DC. So if Dan Quinn believes enough in this guy to give him a shot, because you got to remember when Dan Quinn was in Atlanta, he let Matt LaFleur walk. When Kyle Shanahan got the head coaching job, he let Matt LaFleur walk. He let other assistant head coaches walk. He let Mike McDaniel walk. He wasn't about to do that here because there was a real interest from Detroit for their OC position regarding David Blau. So he locked that down. Will this work? I don't know. It's a rookie. It's, first time OC that's never called plays before, coming into a pretty high stakes situation. But it's definitely something to monitor. I'm definitely monitoring it all offseason into the regular season next year. We will see what happens. Any thoughts on that before I move on to DC? No? Okay, cool. So, defensive coordinator. Now, we have not officially we have not hired that position yet. Though I do want to talk about the people that we have interviewed already. So we got defensive line coach Joe Cullen. We already interviewed him. And of course, Kansas City's defensive line has been pretty solid for the past, 10 plus years. So you got to give him credit there. And then we got Denard Wilson, defensive coordinator for the Tennessee Titans. Now, obviously, we can all agree Tennessee was trash, but did he have much to work with last year? Probably not. So I don't know if that's an interesting one that I'm going to keep an eye on. I got to see more of that. I got to do a little bit more research on his, the type of scheme that he runs. On the plan or expected interviews still to happen. Brian Flores, the Commanders hope to interview him. We'll see if that happens. I would love to see if Brian Flores would come here, but he's going to be the hottest DC on the market, whether it's for DC or head coaching position. Let's be absolutely clear. And then Jonathan Gannon, as JT already talked about, he's interviewing, I believe, with the Cowboys first, and then he's interviewing with the Commanders on Thursday. Don't hate that option. Not my great. I don't know. I would, I think Gannon would keep him away from him. We'll see.
Let me tell you, Gannon been here. He had some success. He got to the Super Bowl. He's a Vic Fangio disciple. That's why they got Vic Fangio, because he was the originator of that defensive scheme.
Yeah.
He's above average. I'll say that much.
Yeah, he's not my first choice, but he's in the top 3. He's in the top 3. And then I have to do more research on this guy. I honestly have no idea who he is. Patrick Graham, he's the Las Vegas Raiders defensive coordinator. Obviously, they were another putrid defense, but yet again, outside of Max Crosby, what were they working with?
They have a lot, yeah.
Yeah, so yet again, we'll see. The theme is, and I know the plan, hope is that whoever they bring in, it has to be somebody with play calling experience. Now, who that will be, yet to be determined. But if obviously Brian Flores would be a dream, right? Like, that would be awesome. I obviously he's number 1. I would actually say number 2. I'm really interested in Denard Wilson. I've heard a lot of good things about him. And then Jonathan Gannon 3. I think that would be my top 3 out of the options that are currently available that have been connected to the Commanders. So that's just my thoughts. But any thoughts on either the OC hire or the DC options here?
I mean, for the Commanders, it comes down to talent. It comes down to talent.
Yeah, no, we need to overhaul our defense. It doesn't matter who's playing calls if
you can't bring in a new DC and have. You can't bring in a new DC and still have the oldest defense in the league. That's for sure.
Here's the crazy thing. People still want Bobby Wagner and Von Miller back. I wouldn't mind having Bobby back, but not as a starter. I don't think he's Mike anymore, but we'll see. He's definitely a situational linebacker now, and that he's still really good. He can tackle like none other, but like as a full-time starter, he just has too many weaknesses at this point. But what were you saying, JT?
Oh, I was just gonna say, well, it's Quinn's last stand, so
yeah. Look, I mean, this is
gotta make sure it's correct.
I think the seat has gotten. I don't know. He must feel pretty confident if he's hiring a first-time play caller who's barely been a coach in the NFL.
Yeah,
he must
risky.
He must have some. I feel like he has some assurances from the front office that he is safe.
Well, I tell you this: I'm glad he's doing his initial research instead of poking from his former team.
Yeah,
I can at least say that he's putting in research in that regard instead of meddling with his former team.
Well, I mean, he kind of did. We did interview your tight ends coach for the OC job.
That's
sorry. Look, I don't know what to say on that one.
You like the head coach too. Both of y'all are Bunsen honeydews.
So, what do you mean?
Okay. To the point. Let me finish.
Insulting me, and then he says, "Let me finish."
Oh, it's no salt. I'm just despising the treachery that's occurring here. Is that you're fine where you are in DC, but yet you're still trying to fetch other things from Texas just to try to manipulate and take things from there instead of fully doing your own research in that regard. You got that taste of the Texas life, and then after you leave, you left, and then you're wanting to be like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and take this and take that. And Maurice, that's the true meaning of dirty Mac.
Okay, but the people that we took, we didn't they were all free agents. Okay, like the players wise, they were all free agents.
after Quinn left, he was still texting Micah saying, "Hey, buddy, what you doing?"
Okay, Micah's different, but I'm talking about like Dorrance Armstrong, Tyler Biadasz.
He had a star on his helmet.
Look, the NFL has not found any tampering, so like that. Look, don't accuse my team of tampering unless they get caught. Okay, then I'll own that.
Still, Quinn like
deny the allegations,
poke him in the forehead. Like, stay on your side, man. Leave my team alone.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, so that's pretty much all I got though. I mean, we made some practice squad signings, nothing major there. Future contracts, that type of deal. That's pretty much all I got, guys. Look, I will see what happens with DC. I think DC is going to be a little bit of a longer take than the OC job. And honestly, I think part of it was panic. Like, a little bit of it was, we don't want to lose David Blau. He might be the next Sean McVay. We'll see. I do think that I guess the part of the reason they went with Blau is I guess McDaniel wasn't interested in. I mean, I'm just speculating at this point. I'm not reporting anything, but because if Mike McDaniel wanted the job, he would have had it.
Maybe he didn't want to deal with Dan Quinn anymore.
Or maybe Dan Quinn went with somebody that wouldn't be gone after a year. Because let's be real, if wherever Mike McDaniel goes, if he's not a head coach and he's an OC, he's going to be gone in a year. Yeah.
And you could say the same for your new OC as well.
I mean, he might, but the likelihood is less.
No, but I'm saying, if this guy can get where you need to go and his name ends up being like a situation where he gets an interview, hey, he earned it.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. But
and that's for any coach that gets a hire nowadays, especially a coordinator position, for it.
Well, and look, if he has the opportunity to get a head coaching job, I want the Commanders to fire Dan Quinn and get him if they think that if another team thinks he's that good, then I'd rather take the role on him.
I'm saying Quinn. If they do really well in their first year, then they will get the hire for that.
Yeah, we'll see.